We have strongly contributed to the legislative proposals by the European Parliament. They are on the table. Now the Council, the governments have to come to negotiate. And in the framework of that data protection legislation, we deal also with data protection for our companies and to prevent the question of data transfers on an illegal basis. We want full legality and transparency.
Our own data are of course very actual now, the problem with NSA, and what we see is what is very important. We as citizens, we own our own data. And I think the Greens are really at the forefront of this fight. We have a Green rapporteur, Jan-Philippe Albrecht, who is leading the negotiations of the European Parliament on the Data Protection Directive. And that means people have to own their own data, and if there is an exchange of data to other institutions, then it only can be done if people give their consent to it, and it's only stored for a very, very limited time. So we own the data and not the companies. And that is very clear for the Greens. We got to a strong position of the European Parliament thanks to the Green rapporteur Jan-Philippe Albrecht, and now the fight is with the member states because they don't really think this is an important topic. And just on the final bit of NSA, very clearly, as soon as a company is giving data to NSA or any other agency in the world, we as Europe should be very tough and should let them pay fines. Because like I said, for the Greens it's important. We as individuals, we own our own data.
I think that European data protection law, which is now has to be further developed, and Parliament has made its position about it, must ensure that private companies cannot misuse the data of citizens. And here therefore it must be an equal level on a high standard to have this data protection in the European Union, but also we have to fight together, and only together we can do that foreign companies do it in a proper way. And the United States does not make a data protection directive, for example. This means that we have then also to take American IT companies before if they violate the rights of European citizens.
We believe that data protection needs to be brought up to date for the 21st century. We need to make sure that users fully understand the information that's being stored about them, how it's being shared, and how it's being used. But we don't believe that the EU needs to be too prescriptive with legislation at this point in time. We need to establish guidelines across the EU for best practice in data storage and usage. But we don't want to get to the prescriptive stage at this point in time. And why? Because we're looking at the internet, things are changing very quickly, and we don't want to see services or businesses put at a disadvantage for consumers or businesses themselves because of too stringent legislation on data at this point in time. But we must put it as a priority.
Well, cyber has become a bit of a buzzword. Anything to do with the internet, politicians easily refer to as cyber. But when we look in a bit more detail at the policies, we see that they often lag behind the rapid speed of technological developments. And I think it is essential that when we talk about cybersecurity, we remember what it is we seek to protect, which is our open society, our liberal democracies. And the risk is really that while we claim to protect them from attacks from the outside, they erode from within. So digital freedoms must be an integral part of any cybersecurity strategy, and this includes looking at export controls, digital freedoms as an integral part of our foreign and security policy. But it starts at home, where we have to be much more credible when it comes to protecting people's fundamental rights and freedoms, also online.